I can hear you great. Hopefully I sound all right.
Oh yeah, you sound great.
Okay.
All right, so here we are, Monday morning. My goodness, hope everybody had a great weekend. So this is Pete Erickson. I'm the founder of Modev and the creator of Voice Summit. And this is part of our speaker series where we're taking a moment to interview in advance of Voice Summit many of the speakers that are going to be participating in the conference. We have more than 300 speakers joining us from around the world. So it's a tall task, but several have graciously agreed to chat with us. And today we're speaking with Jessica Hall, the Vice President of Product at 3 Pillar Global. Jessica, good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to talk to you again, Pete.
Yeah, you as well. And I was so happy to see you on the speaker lineup for Voice Summit because you've actually spoken at several of our conferences. For those of you who aren't familiar with Modev, the name Modev comes from mobile development. And we have hosted many conferences around mobile development, around product, around user experience in mobile. But now here we are in the voice first world. Jessica has spoken on mobile. She's a product leader. She has been in the trenches on user interface and user experience. And now here we are with voice. So Jessica, tell us a little bit about this transition and what do you make of this new era that we're heading into?
It's pretty funny because I first did a voice product years and years ago when I worked at the museum in Washington, D.C. We had this idea that we wanted to create an experience where you could be a reporter on the scene of a story that had been broken, and you would go around and interview people to learn about what had happened so you could put your story together. And we thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great if you could talk to the screen? And the museum opened in 2009. So this would have been like 2005-ish.
Wow.
And we went and tried it. We worked with a research group out of Berkeley, California. And in order to kind of test the idea, we rented a studio at Arlington Community Television over there on Wilson Boulevard. I think you know the general vicinity. And we had kids come into one room in the studio. And in the main part of the studio, we had actors. And we actually put the kid on a screw, filmed the child, with permission, of course. And then we had the actors with a camera walk around talking to the actors. So the student actually got to, in real time, do the interview. And it was really cool to test how this whole experience, what questions would they ask? What would they want to know? What kind of silly unexpected things would they do? And so we were able to really test it. And we thought, gosh, this is great. People are into it. We love it. And then the technology just completely failed us. It was going to be, NLP hadn't come along that well, and it was going to be a challenging environment for it to work because it was a space where there was a lot of ambient noise and there was going to be crosstalk. And so it's a funny story because usually the technology comes first, and this is what we're seeing a lot in voice, even with our own clients and the project. So the technology comes first, and you dive in with the engineering team, and you have to figure out how it works, and then you have to go figure out what to do with it. And our case was very funny because we had a great, fantastic application of voice years and years ago, but we couldn't do it.
Right.
So it'd be pretty amazing to go back and to try and do that again now that that's possible. But what we're seeing in voice is actually something pretty different in that, even our own experience is that people are figuring out the technology long before they're figuring out what to do with it, long before they're doing the experience. And some of those older ideas of how do we test them, how do we figure them out, how do we prototype, how do we get to market, these ideas kind of related to the product mindset are really important now as we navigate this kind of new world.
Yeah, I tell you, well, that's I love that story. And I think that it highlights, what has happened, right? So underneath all this is the AI. So it's the, what some have called NLP or NLG or, all the different acronyms, but, the AI underneath coupled with cloud computing, internet speeds, 5G, everything has sort of, of course, smartphones and everything sort of converged underneath the hood so that the ideas that you had back in 2005 can now become a reality. And I think that that's what's different now. And we've talked to so many folks like you that have deep backgrounds in technology and in this space that now are emerging, at the forefront of this industry. So it's not new for them and not new for you, but it's new for the people that it's impacting. So the users out there, right? Consumers and businesses and enterprise. And tell us a little bit about your take on adoption. And certainly, you know, Alexa and Google Home now are in our kitchens, in our bedrooms and living rooms. But the enterprise is interesting to me because it seems that, you know, the one stat that we talk about a lot is, you know, people speak at 110 to 150 words per minute, and we type at 40 words per minute. And I sit here at my desktop, and I work all day, and I'm pulling information, I'm pulling reports, or I'm pulling data, or I'm sending out and creating and sending. But voice really opens up a world of opportunities. Tell us a little bit about that.
I think it opens up a lot of opportunities. And I think we're at a unique moment where one of the key barriers that always has to get crossed in any technology adoption is, do people feel dumb doing it? In a sense.
Right. Well, the key to user experience, right?
The key to user experience.
One feel smart.
I went to the museum a couple years ago, and we opened in 2009, and a kid walked up to the screen and started going like this. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. So the barriers of now that people say, would I talk to my computer and expect something? Because every time I talked to a voice thing before, it's like, oh, operator, please, I want to talk to a human being. Mm-hmm. So I think we've gotten to a place where the barrier has been crossed that I will now engage if I have meaning to do it. And that, I think, is the real cool question. What do I really need to do? What's really going to solve a unique problem for me in voice? And if you look across some of the statistics, right now it's, I want to know the weather. I think number one is music. Number two is weather. Number three is interesting questions. Like, they're kind of playing stump the professor with the technology. Mm-hmm. So I think what people are struggling with is they want to be there and engaging with it, but they haven't figured out how, what's the right use case. And so a lot of times, what we recommend with people is to do a lot of prototyping and testing. And one of the ones we worked on, our engineering team got way ahead, which was great because they need to do that. They need to figure out the technology. They need to understand how it works. They understand how to deploy it. They understand how the performance been, how the AI and everything else. But while they're doing that, the product UX folks really need to be going out and doing what we did so many years ago, which is just role play. Have people walk through it and talk to you or talk to a screen and go through and try to make sure, oh, right, that's the thing they're going to do. This is the way they're going to ask. These are the kind of outliers we can expect. And to be able to invest that time and work through it. And I think a lot of times what people do is jump ahead with what we can do. Right. Well, we can do this. That doesn't necessarily mean that people want to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will be doing. And it's okay to do what I can do if we're just trying to figure out how the thing works. But if we're trying to create an engaging relationship with our customers, we have to figure out what that new part. And that's something we call the product mindset, solve for need. And that we have to understand what that need is and then come up with the right way to get after it.
Well, mindset is a key word. I see it as part of the book. Let's talk quickly about the book. We'll transition to your talk coming up in Newark. Tell us about the book.
So the book comes out in September. When they say writing a book is a lot of work, they ain't lying. Actually, it's funny. You were talking about voice. I'm like, gosh, wouldn't it be great if I could have just dictated more of that book? Because I spent a lot of time working on it when I was holding a newborn baby.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on that too.
Thank you. And so the book is about the product mindset. It's really about how do we help leaders going through digital transformations understand how to get the right products to market that are going to be successful. Because so many of things we've seen in our 13 years of being in business and helping over 200 clients on over 100 products is that certain things work and certain things don't. And so how can we get people to be more effective in doing those things and following these key principles of the product mindset, which are solve for need, minimize time to value, and excel at change.
Nice. I love it. Well, that's an exciting endeavor. And having children myself that are now 7 and 8, I couldn't imagine taking on a book project when they were young. So I really commend you. And that must be a lot of work. And we'll certainly do all we can to get behind the launch of that book. Let's talk a little bit about your talk. You're giving one of our esteemed talks this year on what we call our VED stage. It's modeled after the TED Talks. And it is Mindset Matters, the formula for success in the digital economy. And I guess we don't want you to give up all your secrets, but I would imagine that it does reflect what's coming out in this book.
Yes, it's definitely tied to the book. I love a short talk like this. I've given several, mostly because it really means you have to be tight on your story. You have to be tight on your story. You have to clear message. You have to practice. I invariably follow somebody who tries to put the 10 pounds of sausage into the 5-pound bag, and it does not work. They run out of time, as they say.
Right.
But what I'm working on is how to apply the product mindset to voice. How to take what we've learned through mobile, through SaaS, through cloud, through all these other things and patterns that have repeated themselves time and time again, and equip your organization, your product team, with what they need to be successful as they start to create these new voice products. And so that really goes back to those 3 core principles: solving for need, understanding who the customer is, what they're trying to do, how they're going to get it done, and then minimizing time to value, which is going to be really important because it's emerging technology. How do we get the smallest possible things into people's hands that's going to provide them unique value so we can go from there? And the last is excelling at change. In any new technology, there's always going to be a lot of hurdles about, well, what happens when they make this kind of change in the market. We were one of the first people to do a production system in blockchain, and then all of a sudden there was a fork. And so everything that we had done had to get like re-architected real quick because there had been this significant change in direction outside of our control. So how do you have that mindset? You can't just say, well, sorry, too bad. Doesn't matter. You have to have a way of dealing with that and to be managing what's coming in the team so you can still, be serving your clients and customers. And so taking that approach, that mindset, and how do we take it and apply it to voice? Looking at things that we've learned through serving our clients and also other things that we've seen in the marketplace. So you can get a kind of a broad perspective about how this idea works in this new forum.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're certainly looking forward to having you and this message about Mindset Matters and how, all of your experience in product and user experience and design relates to this new era. So Jessica, thank you so much for being a part of Voice 2019. And if you're interested in hearing from Jessica or speakers like Jessica from around the world, as I said, we have 300 speakers coming from more than 20 countries that are on the forefront of this new era. Now is the time to get in. You can go to voicesummit.ai. Tickets start at very affordable rates, and we've made this accessible to everybody. You can also apply for a scholarship if you happen to be a student or if you're re-entering the workforce or you're looking for a transition. Definitely please apply for a scholarship. We want to make this one of the most inclusive conferences in history. Jessica, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in Newark.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, y'all. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you on the next interview.